Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online talk show where we get to have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives positively. My name is Kemia Kiode Adebayo, aka Mama K, and in today's program, and to share a story, I've got a young, selfless, intelligent man, well, a social entrepreneur, Mr. Tchofor Nchang, the founder and management for Sickle Cell International Foundation that works in Cameroun and I believe across Africa. So welcome to Impact Africa, my young man. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Mama K. Thank you so much.
Okay, so where are we even speaking with you from, by the way? Let's start with that. Where are we speaking with you from?
I am in Minnesota at the moment.
Okay, you're in Minnesota. We'll get back to how or why you're there. So let me go back to your name. I know I probably, didn't pronounce it well. I'm known for murdering people's name. I really need to go to a school for names, how to call names. So you've got two first names, I believe you've told me. So the two first names, the first one, what does it mean? And pronounce it properly for us.
My two first names are Tchofor. So it's actually pronounced Tchofor.
Okay.
And it means I was named after my grandfather and my great-grandfather.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Tchofor, the meaning which I gave to it was about adding value. It was about creating value, pretty much. It was about the life of a man which was dedicated towards service of his people and his community, and being able to, make the most out of every opportunity that came his way for the better good. And so that is what that name signifies and means to me. And then we have Dick, my great-grandfather, and he was a community gatherer.
Okay.
He knew everybody, and he knew, a lot of information about everyone, their children, their progress, and he was able to get he as I learned, had a larger than life personality, and that's what I took off from him as well, and being able to gather people and community in getting things done. And then my surname is Nchang. My last name is Nchang, and again, still after my grandfather, my paternal grandfather in this case, and he just demonstrated a lot of bravery and courage throughout his life. Decisions he made, in the way in which he raised his own children, my parents, and so we're looking at, being able to maximize opportunities here, create values, gather community, and demonstrate courage. Those are what my names mean.
Interesting. So did you meet either of them? Did you actually meet either your grandfather or your great-grandfather?
No.
No. Okay.
I only met my maternal grandfather, the one whose name is Tchofor. He actually is still alive, and I was with him only a few weeks ago.
Okay.
He's the only one that I have met.
So tell us now, so you were born in Cameroon, or where were you born? Let's go back now we now meet your grandfather and great-grandfather. What a impactful name, that was given, to you right from the start and in terms of what you're doing. So where were you born and how was life growing up for you?
I was born in Bamenda. In the northwest region of Cameroon. And it was, growing up, from as much as I can remember, was quite the experience. I started off in a government nursery school, and then I went to the I was able to continue at PNEU. For anyone who knows what PNEU or where the
Mm.
school of PNEU, it's quite a school,
Okay.
and Bamenda, as my early memories of growing up in Bamenda were full of very rich experiences.
Mm.
My dad will often drive us to the village up in Santa Cum. We'll spend some time with family. I grew up a lot around family. I grew up
Right.
knowing my family, and that is what enriched in me a lot of family values. Uh,
Mm.
yes, so
So,
that's what it was like.
interesting. So, which language do you speak, by the way? Is it French? Because I know some parts in Cameroon are English speaking and some are French speaking. So, are you
Correct.
from the French or the English speaking?
Well, I was born in Bamenda. Bamenda is the
Okay.
English-speaking
Okay.
Anglophone part of Cameroon. I did, however, school in Yaoundé for 8 years. So
Right.
Yaoundé is the political capital. I was there for 8 years. That's where I had my O levels, and that's where I was able to come interact a lot with the Francophones and learn the French language.
Let's see. So, what position are you in your family?
I'm the second of 5 children.
Second of five. Wow. So, boys, girls, the
Yes,
others, your siblings?
I have an older brother, a younger brother, and 2 younger sisters. Adorable, by the way. I will not skip anything to pass time with my younger sisters. They mean the world to me, and my
Oh,
brothers are my best friends.
wow. That they, like you said, you grew up with, family values. So family, obviously, if you had a great grandfather that was a community gatherer, obviously his family will have been, the topmost, for him. So now let's go to your education. And because I know you schooled, like you said, a little bit in Yaoundé, and then I know you attended the African Leadership Academy. So how did you end up there?
Whew, this is where the story takes another level deeper.
Okay.
So I will just run through a timeline. I did start at the government nursery school in Bamenda. I went on to PNU, and then we moved to Yaoundé when I was about 8 years old, and I schooled there till I was 15. So I completed my primary school education, had my GC levels in Yaoundé
Okay.
at the St. Benedict's College in Volier. It was a remarkable institution at the time. Um, and and from there, I came back to Bamenda. I did lower seat. So lower seat, high school for us is 2 years. Lower seat, upper
Oh.
seat, where you have your advanced level, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
to university. So I did lower seat, and this was 2016. And that year, two things happened, two consequential things happened to me that year. The first of which, I lost my grandmother in May,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and a few months later, here I was going to get a bone marrow transplant, and that was a very heavy to go through a very heavy experience to live through in 1 year. And
Mm.
so after the transplant, of course, due to the nature of it and the extensive amounts of chemo I had to undergo, I wasn't permitted to return to the classroom just yet. I had
Mm.
to take about 2 years. And so the entire process, 2016, which I did not complete lower seat, and then the transplant, and then 2017 and 18, that's 4 years in which I was out of school. Uh,
Wow.
in- and and as I started properly, as I started healing, as I started feeling better, which quite frankly is in and of itself a miracle, uh,
Mm.
I decided to reach out to, the next family, the neighbor. Who else around me is it that is affected by sickle cell, and how do I best support them? And it was 1 and 2 and 3, and that's how I started work. That's how I started the Sickle Cell International Foundation.
Okay, so let me go back. I know there's a lot you've packed in there, and we'll probably need to stop for a break. But before we stop for the break, um, for those who are not aware of why people need bone marrow transplant, and I know you said you started reaching out. So why did you need a bone marrow transplant? And what is it for? And when, obviously, anyway, let me hear that first from you.
Right. So I was born and diagnosed with sickle cell first, and I have been through the ordeals of living with a life-threatening disease as that one. Been through all the pain episodes and crises, which I will not want for even an enemy. And a bone marrow transplant at the moment is one of the only possible cures to sickle cell, at least the one in which is most advanced compared to the other. Despite the fact that only 20% of those who are eligible for a bone marrow transplant actually get it, because the therapy, the procedure in itself, it's costly, and it requires a donor, a sibling donor who is 100% match, which is the reason why in my case, again, was a miracle, because it was just totally against the odds. The odds were against me rather. But then my older brother, Simon, he was a 100% match.
Wow.
And so that's what the transplant is. You go through excessive amounts of chemotherapy. You have to get rid of your own bone marrow. Your immune system drops to zero, and then the donor's marrow is infused in you, and that's how the transplant happened. Then you have to go on immunosuppression so that your own body doesn't fight off your donor's marrow, and then that procedure happens, and so it's a lot different now. So now you have a different bone marrow essentially, and that produces healthier red blood cells. And
Okay.
because of that, then you do not face any at all vaso-occlusive crisis. So I've not had any crisis since the transplant. I had a few reactions to the chemo, all of which sorted themselves, all of which finished. And so as I'm here right now, I am as good and as strong as it
Wow.
is. And I've been this way for the past 2 to 3 years. And
Awesome. So for those, let me go back a little bit. So you were born with sickle cell and you had the transplant, you lost 4 years, in terms of education. You mentioned earlier on about crisis. So a lot of people don't know what sickle cell is. Can you, before we go on to what you do with your foundation, which we'll do after the break, can you break it down, towards what is sickle cell and what is crisis? What do you mean when you say you have crisis?
Sickle cell is a hereditary blood type disease. It's inherited from your parents. Now, genetically, your parents do not need to have sickle cell for you to have sickle cell. It's the biology of fertilization. So what happens here is your parents could have certain genes, which when they meet with other genes from their partner in the form of fertilization, you can carry on those genes, and that manifests itself as sickle cell. And so what happens in this case, essentially what happens is your body doesn't produce healthy red blood cells. Now, in a normal, according to normal standards, the body produces round, fluffy red blood cells. In someone with sickle cell, the body produces sickle. So it's a hook shaped red blood cells, and these red blood cells do not adequately transport food, water, and oxygen to the rest of the body and to the vital organs in the body. As a result of that, the patients tend to experience organ damages, tend to experience, shortage of blood in very important areas, tend to experience swellings, and the most prominent of it is a pain crisis. And so a pain crisis I'd like to describe to you as, think of a think of bashing your knee or your shin bone against the table, and think of constantly doing that, or hitting an
Wow.
iron rod against your bone constantly. I mean, a huge rod with a lot of force, and think of experiencing that pain stretched out over 3 weeks. So you're constantly living through intense amounts of pain that you're living when you're in a crisis. That is what a crisis is like. And
Okay.
the first thing is about like pain management. You're just screaming the whole time. Again, you know, I'm not exactly sure if you do get the imagery, but if you have to keep
Oh,
bashing
I'm imagining it,
your
but I don't
bone
think I will get the pain, the way
uh,
you
with
describing it.
iron for extended
Mm,
periods of time,
mm.
you can't walk, you can't think properly, you can't talk, you're irate. It's really not the best sight you want to see someone in.
See,
And
okay, we'll stop and we'll be right back. Wow. Okay, we were talking there about your journey from uh, Bamenda in the northwest of Cameroon, where you were born, and you schooled in Yaoundé. Then you ended up in South Africa, although we didn't touch much about that because you were speaking to us about the sickle cell, enlightening us more on what it is and your brief journey, which you did so much justice to it, within just a short time to try and, tell us, what it is, and your the fact that you had to undergo the transplant, the bone marrow transplant. So now let me go, before I go back to life at the African leadership, which probably is associated with your reply to this. How or why did you start Sickle Cell International Foundation, and when?
interesting. We started, when I say we, I mean pretty much, you know, my mom and I.
Okay.
And we had just gotten back from India. We 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 probably still are one of the first known cases who have actually successfully undergone a bone marrow transplant in our
Mm,
area, because a lot of people who equally embarked on that journey came back feet first.
mm,
Um, and and so we decided to go out and, just talk about it, create a conversation around it,
okay.
start that discourse around it, demystify what
Mm,
what this disease is. Let's talk about sickle cell. Let's engage in that conversation. What do you know about it? What is it about? And here is someone who has been through that experience, who has undergone this treatment. What can we do about it? And
right.
so these were the questions which, as we were answering, led to the formation of the organization. Our
And
license
when
to
was this?
operate.
When was this? Which
So
year?
It's 2017. This is
Okay. Okay.
my this is my first year of bed rest. Because the
Okay.
transplant was in 16, all the way from June till October, November, if I'm not wrong. And then 2017 now was about, okay, let's start answering these questions. And then, that's where we started the organization. We were just leveraging our knowledge. Okay, we know someone who,
Hmm.
can assist us in here and there. And we were
Yeah.
able to support a lot of people. And we decided to, go full front and get the organization, get it running, make it more formal. And so we got a license to operate sometime around October 2017. And from there, I have, been a lot engaged in the strategy and the planning and the mission and the people. And I have put my mom in charge of, the support groups, the engagements,
Right.
and all the right. So we have a we have a that's a lot about, the organization and its beginnings. And I will say we've been really fortunate over the years to now support 124 plus families and counting. We get those numbers
Well
up
done.
to 300 over the next few years and to 1,000. We have saved these families over $60,000 in medical expenses.
Hmm.
We are now operating out of Cameroun and South Africa. So we're fortunate to have one of the largest law firms in South Africa do pro bono for us in
Hmm.
setting up offices and advising on our use of patient data. We we have we've had recognition, we've had approval, we've had support, we've had partnerships from people, Turkish Airlines, Melinda Gates, uh, Polyclinic Bonanjo, Marco Rentals, AL for Health. And so we've had all of these amazing people who have come in one way or another to push the work further. And we're now engaged in more partnerships. We're actually working, we're partnered now with a genome sequencing company to develop non-invasive prenatal sickle cell disease testing kits, which is going to make the amniocentesis more accessible, widely accessible, and
Hmm.
accessible. And uh, we're also branching off into research and academia. So that's
Wow.
very, very, very unique of an advocacy NGO. Is again, the whole question was, what more can we do? What more I can,
Hmm.
if I'm advocating more, what is the other side I need to be thinking about, right? I'm going in full steam into this field. And so we thought of ways in which we could add value to the lives of these families we're supporting, and also to research in healthcare, all for the good. Because we noticed we were sitting on a good amount of data, which was very useful both to us as an organization, to our families, and to the field of healthcare, academia, and research all in one. So, and we've been making that branch and that strategy. I can go on.
I can see, and I can see how passionate you are, and the fact that there's a lot of successes, in what you're doing. But I'm sure there has been challenges as well. What are some of the challenges you've actually encountered, personally or with the organization?
I'll start off with the organization. The organization takes precedence. I mean, I live for that. So, I challenges I faced, I will say, people and finance,
Hmm.
people and funding, expertise and capital. Um, people, first as a non-profit, a lot of those who work with us and for us uh, are on a more, volunteer basis. And
Mm.
so at every moment, it's about, okay, who is available and what is the work that needs to be done and who can get that work done. And then, okay, so a lot of the people that we have, uh, I don't want to say rotating, but it's very temporal. So we can have a few people who come in and we get a lot of work done. And then, they can't be with us, for one reason or another for long again. We do not have employees that we can afford or we can
Right.
pay to do a lot of the day-to-day, work. So most of that is done by volunteers, and there's been some inconsistencies. There's been results. There've been, we've recorded successes, but it's like it could be better. It definitely could be
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
in order to
Mm.
achieve that is where the funding part comes in. When you start with a passion, it's all about you're giving your 100 into it. And sometimes, your hand is short, and you really want to push into this, and you also look at what is going on personally as well, and how you can support it, and you'd be like, oh wow, funding really can go a long way in this case. And so we start thinking of the various ways in which we can run it sustainably. We start
Okay.
thinking of various strategies as such.
Mm.
Of course, funding being one, research being the other, and so it's been an interesting process. But circling back on the challenges, a lot of it has been the expertise and the funding. And
Okay.
also pertaining to the expertise, it's good for one to have, especially in my case, it's good for one to deal with people who are more experienced in this.
Yes,
People,
correct.
people have who have walked this path.
Right.
I'm not the first person of my type to do this, or so I want to.
Mm. Mm.
And I want to talk with people who have led non-profits before, even bigger ones, people in healthcare. I want all these schools of thought. I want all these, various opinions and ideas, and very often I do wish I could have a lot more reliable people who can just be like, oh, I'm having an issue, a challenge here or there, let's think through this, or let's so that comes back to the expertise as some of the challenges I've been facing.
Right. Okay. So I know you were going to, I asked about the personal one, but let me skip that because of time. And I know, like you said, your work is your passion and that's you. And that's what, I believe are your challenges. So as an organization and an MPO or social entrepreneur that you are, um, what makes an organization work and what tips can you give, in terms of life tips for anybody starting up in business? Although you said there that you want to, learn from people, other people you've run, but saying that, you've done very well for yourself, as well under the 4 years, that you've started this. So, and I'm sure some of you would have got lessons you've learned. So do you want to share with us some of the lessons you've learned, how not to do or what to do? Just a quick one.
Ooh, yeah, I would say it takes, this is going to sound so cliche because my name Nchang means courage, but it takes a lot of courage. It really does. And I would put a lot of it to the leap of. Now here's one thing I found this to be very important.
Okay.
Is first of all, you have to use what you have. Use what you have. What the people around,
Right.
what the people you're listening to. Secondly, you have to equip yourself. I've come
Okay.
to realize a lot of people are willing to assist you if you're serious, if you know what
Hmm.
you're doing. And by knowing what you're doing means you have to equip yourself, right? Do your homework. Like if you're coming to someone make sure you're coming with something they can work with,
Right. Right.
and you're direct about it. Very quickly, I would say, yes, who are you listening to? Do your homework, equip yourself. And take that leap of faith, I would say. A lot of the work which I did is I would sometimes sit and go, wouldn't it be nice if? Wouldn't it be nice if? And very often when I ask that question, what comes after is some really ambitious goal. And I have never failed to give it a shot.
Right.
And the most beautiful things have happened after I have, send that email. But first learn how to write an email and then send the email, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, get that number, practice a few words and then make the phone call. So and that's why I so strongly believe in equipping yourself,
Okay.
it's getting, people don't have time. The spaces in which we operate are becoming increasingly competitive. And if you really want to push through, you have to be able to know how to get work done. Don't
Okay.
just talk, but walk the talk. And I don't know. I would leave it there for now.
Wow, that's a lot. I'm just scribbling and scribbling, here. And yeah, there's a lot, in there that you've shared, which, is unbelievable for somebody. How old are you, by the way? Can I
Oh,
ask?
22.
22. You're only 22. Wow. Okay. You've done very, very well for yourself. Well done. Well, we'll stop for a quick break again, and we'll be right back. Okay, so my dear young son, 22, only 22, you said, and you gave all those, like life lesson, small nugget, within a very, very 2 minute space, and your life journey as well, even though there's been a lot of challenges, along the way, like you shared, the miracles, you've had, the fact that, you don't wish some of what you've experienced on others, but you've managed to turn your challenge into positive, for others, where you're now trying to avoid people maybe going the same route as you and helping them, along the way. So what has helped you? How would your mother describe you? What are the qualities, personal qualities, that you feel you have that has helped you in your journey? I know you're smiling there. You're either going to say something out, So what qualities, And I know people normally shy away from selling themselves, saying, yeah, I'm this and that. But we're at that stage now in this world where, yes, like you said earlier on, equip yourself. Go and learn how to write an email before you even send an email. So what are the qualities, that has helped you? And what motivates you? What keeps you going?
As you're asking that question, I thought of my dad, and he's my very good friend. He's my one of my best friends at this point. And I was actually picturing how my dad would have been like, just smiling within and pointing his finger how this young man is very naughty.
Really?
That was, and
Why would you say why would he say that? So you haven't shared that bit of the naughtiness of some of what you've done,
and he will, but he's going to take it a step further to actually describe the kind of naughtiness.
Okay, let's hear.
I don't know. He says that it's a. I'm just trying to remember, because whenever he's talking about it, I just spend my whole time trying not to even hear what he's saying. But um, in terms of qualities, I'd say a lot of it has been, you know, questioning,
Mm.
and I learned how to better question when I went to
Okay.
ALA, the African Leadership Academy. Um, you know, you want to be able to understand the way things are happening. You want to be able to, you know, see where you can come in, what you
Mm.
fix, but you also want to be able to get your seat on the table, whatever table it is.
Okay.
You know, it's about the fact that, hey, here are a couple of things I know I can do, or I can at least try to get done, but I have something to show and I have some value to contribute. And I would love to actually have the opportunity to contribute it.
Right.
And going out and finding those opportunities, even where they may not present themselves, and being very persistent about it. And that is what I will say has probably been a trade off. Also, I'm going to use the analogy of what thick skin, developing thick skin, because quite often
Mm.
you'll fail. And a lot of people will say that I have had a lot of disappointments in on this path. I have failed a lot. And the
Mm.
failing part has been the most influential moments, actually. As after failing is the learning, and I've learned a lot. I from those failures. And for me, these are not failures like we're losing a lot of money, or losing
Money.
our life,
Mm. Mm.
or losing a partner, or no, these are not, or getting denied. No, these are actually like failures where, you know, you go in and you talk to someone and sorry, it's just
Yeah.
not going to happen at all.
Mm.
And,
Mm.
and you're able to, you have the maturity enough to accept the fact that, okay, this is this has gone bad, this has not happened, and be able to move on past it. It takes a certain level of discernment and
Mm.
to to endure that, to look at it in the face and accept. I will put accept in quotes, and accept the defeat, and learn the lesson from it, and wake up the following day and try something new, and that's been the process. It's been rewarding for me, and the reason I'm relentless is simply because I've also had a lot of success. I've also generated a lot of momentum. I've had a lot of,
Mm.
areas and points and times which this work has been very rewarding. And because of, and that alone is good enough to keep me going. In terms of
Boy.
motivation, my pain motivates me.
Mm.
When I look at the kind of pain which I experienced, I lived through, when I look at what it was like being in pain, I I keep there's this sense of urgency that comes to me, that I'm probably not even still doing enough. That
Mm.
it's like when I look at that pain, it's like, my goodness, to have overcome that, I have to do a lot better. And
Not. Mm.
after this transplant, which is where I'm going to round off my point now. After this transplant, I've witnessed a certain type of energy, a certain type of, my energy comes from a more natural place. The
Right.
fact that we could, schedule this call, we could schedule this, you know, programming, and have it. We could schedule it ahead of time and have it. Prior
Mm.
to the transplant, before, I would have been sending you a message or a phone call that I'm
Mm.
sorry, I cannot. I'm in the hospital.
Mm.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I've had
Mm.
I had a lot of those disappointments, and it can
Mm.
get very depressing. And so to be in a position now where I can actually plan and execute, oh my goodness, it is, it is, it is a dream come true would be an understatement to describe it.
Mm.
It is more than surreal. It is
Wow.
energizing. It is. I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of the Bible story of the man who was lame for about 40 years, if I'm not wrong, and and he was healed, and he was told to, you know,
Mm. Mm. Cassandra. Mhm.
and and I'm thinking, what would that guy have been doing for like the following week?
Hmm.
Exactly. Like for me, it's like this guy has been
Mm.
around his whole life, and now he's been given something which is so empowering. It's so,
Yeah.
I want to believe he
Even
was
a new life.
running,
Yeah. It's like
but
a new life. Yeah.
I want to
Mm.
believe this guy just spent his whole time running and running.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
You know, or
Mm.
the blind guy who probably
Mm.
just wanted to read and see and just explore and go everywhere. I kind of feel like that is the point that is
Wow.
what my life is and will forever be, and it's going to be one of Thanksgiving, and
Amen to that.
and that's why I do not really I do not really have bad days, I would say, because I know what a bad day was, and so
Mm.
I that's it. That's
Wow.
me.
I want to go deeper. Unfortunately, due to time, I really can't. And I'm hoping I can come back, to have a part two or follow up, after that. But before I do that, and I can see, because I'm actually getting a little bit, that's why I just kept quiet, because I'm just trying to imagine, the life, that you feel you've been given with this transplant, and what you're saying, and yeah, what you're sharing. So in kind of my last question for this session, because we are going to have a part two, and definitely, you're going to be available by God's grace for that as well. In your view, because we focus mostly on the negatives in Africa. And I'm sure same thing applies to Cameroon, where you were born, and South Africa, where you've lived, even though you're now in Minnesota studying. We didn't even talk about that as well, because it's just been so much. Yeah, I know. So, in your view, what are some of the solutions to some of the challenges that we experience, in Africa? I know I've gone over time, but it's fine. Um, Either to unemployment, to health, issue, to poverty, to crime, anything you want to pick. Can you share any solution that you feel to any of them?
Oh, I am going to highlight strong systems, first of all. I mean,
Mm.
strong, independent systems, uh, government institutions, where free and fair. Oh my goodness, this is getting a bit political, but free and
No,
fair
it's okay.
elections,
It's
free
fine,
and fair
please.
elections, strong systems, entrepreneurship, and what's the last one? Well, but those are in my opinion some of the areas which, if we get right, we will grow. We will Our growth will be exponential, and
Right.
I do feel that we are a new generation of Africans who are more conscious, and who will, I bet on it, I believe in it, who will know the right thing to do and do it.
Wow, that was concise and to the point. Entrepreneurship, strong independent system, and government institution being fair. And yeah, you don't want to get political, with that, like you said. But, and I know through your work, you're using entrepreneurship, in the health sector. So I'll stop there, and definitely we will be back. However, in closing, I want to just ask you to kindly, just share any nugget or any words of encouragement to the young people or those experiencing sickle cells, or parents, whoever you want to talk to. I just want you to spend in closing, just, to speak directly to them. Thank you.
Reach out to, there's something which you have, which is unique. There's something which you have. It can be a talent. It could be your time. Whatever that is, reach out and support and share it with the next best person, and grow yourself as an individual, enrich, engage, question. I'll encourage you to question, and always try to, be self-aware and be mindful. So yes, reach out and support the next person with whatever it is you have, your time, your advice, your skill, your talent. Share that with somebody. Help someone out, pretty much. Just help someone out as much as you can. Enrich yourself, grow yourself as an individual, seek excellence in whatever you do. Seek excellence. And yes, smile while you do all of that.
And you've been smiling all through our conversation. So, wow. What can I say, Nchang? I know you said, you like to be referred to, like that. So let me use that name, which means courageous. You've just shared an amazing, courageous journey of you as a survivor of sickle cell, and you're trying, like you said, to demystify it, and using your journey, as a way to help others. And basically, those last few words are things you're already doing. Seeking excellence in what you do, smiling, helping other people out, giving of your time. They're all things, equipping yourself. You're currently studying, in America to equip yourself further, and I'm hoping you're going to come back to Africa.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to keep losing all our youth. You're coming back. Okay, good.
Right back.
Oh, cool. Okay, because you still have an NGO and other things to run. Your mom can't do it for you. Yeah. So well done, for all you're doing. And I really commend you and, celebrate you. And, I pray, that as you're enriching the life of others, that God will keep blessing you, with excellent health and with favor, with his grace, with his strength, with wisdom. Those are all the things, I believe, you probably have, but it will continue. And, each challenge, that you face will give you the kind of an opportunity to turn into an opportunity basically for you. And the fact that you've shared your story of failing, so many times, we're using that as a way to be relentless, in what you're doing, and taking the leap of faith. There's just so many things, for me that I could try and sum up, which I can't literally, but I celebrate you. And, at 22, you're doing so much, and we need more young people like you. And I hope through this program, young people, old people, men, women, boys, girls will be inspired because you're impacting lives positively more than you know. So, this is a legacy at 22, that you're already doing, working with big foundations, Melinda and Bill Gates talking share like I'm 22. Some people probably were partying and thinking of the next shoe to buy or the next t-shirt to rock to a beach party at that time. So kudos to you, and I'd celebrate your parents as well and your siblings, because they probably are your support system and they keep you going and they keep you grounded probably as well. So I look forward to a part 2, probably in 2022. We will revisit.
Thank you so much, Mama K.
I want to hear you. Okay. You're most welcome. Well, so viewers, that's all we've got time for today. You've heard it all. To celebrate another young social entrepreneur doing good things in Africa, impacting lives positively, sharing his journey, his story in our conversation. And yeah, till next time, you heard him. Share, how did you say it? Help someone out, help someone out. And that's what life is about. So till next time, this is Mama K saying, God is love. Love you all. Stay safe, stay blessed, and take care of yourselves.